Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 22 of Pendragon, no longer the Age of Uther. We are in Anarchy. It's still the year 496, though. I'm Eric, and I'm still Eric. I'm still your game master, and with us are still two players who have somehow braved it and survived all of the gauntlets that Age of Uther gives our characters. Um, if you ask me right now, the chances of everyone having the same characters going into Anarchy at the start, I'd have been like, not a chance. But here we are.
Here we freaking
and,
are.
and it's not just like, oh, not a chance because, we played it easy and everything. Gareth, how many times was Gareth on the operating table, like on the knife's edge? Four times.
That's how many big battles we've been in, Jim. It's been every time.
Yeah.
For one.
Yeah. I'm not really.
Well, except the one we got our
softballs.
glory stolen from us by Madoc.
Oh yeah, that too.
No, remember?
You were
Oh
still
yes,
hurt.
you were knocked out. Yes,
They threw me in the dead pile. I
Nope.
crawled out
Forgot
of the
about that
corpses like, we remain.
Yeah. Brass is like, there's no way this guy's living.
Yikes. So I didn't expect to survive.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I don't know. I don't think I've really went easy on you at all. I don't think I went particularly hard on you. I just tried to be sort of dispassionate with sort of that old school game master approach, where it's the monsters rolling the dice, not me. All right. Well, I do have a poem today. Before we get started, we didn't have one last week. I didn't feel it was appropriate. But everything coming up. This one, though, this comes back to one of the very first poems I've read on here. It's the same poem. It's The Enchanted Shield. Proud victor, whose story not time shall efface, the sun of thy glory is setting apace. 'Tis all unavailing, the die hath been cast, and hark to yon wailing that comes on that blast. Not vain have I Colin on Anwin's fell band. A monarch hath fallen, and woe to the land. I had to look it up. Anwin is apparently a famous fae on the Wild Hunt, if you want to know that. That's a little footnote there.
Excellent.
Enchanted Shield's a real good
Nice.
poem. I would definitely
Nice.
recommend mining that for anyone's Pendragon game.
Love it.
Yeah. You know
Love
what? I never let you all introduce yourselves. I was like, let's just go.
Start.
Jim, start. Yeah.
I am Jim Davis of WebDM, and I play Sir Irwin of Childerton, who is, I was thinking about today, I don't even know what he looks like. Like, I've never once thought about his appearance. Like, to me, when I imagine Irwin, helm is always on. Like it, and
You're playing from
so,
first person.
well, that's the other thing too, is like I don't usually envision it as a third party viewer. It usually is first person. Yeah. So in that sense, it's a very immersive kind of thing. I'm way off on a tangent. I was supposed to be introducing myself. Colin, take it away. Please, someone stop me from talking.
Hi, I'm Colin. I am playing Sir Gareth de Winterbourne Gunnet, the Dauntless. Who I do know what he looks like. He looks like a young Charles Dance.
Which Charles Dance always has my heart.
Yes, posting that in chat. 'Cause everyone needs to look at this. Look at this bod. That's Gareth's bod right there.
Is that the one when he's in the suit on the beach?
No, it's where he's shirtless but with suspenders. I don't even know what movie that's from. I have no idea what movie it's from.
No, but yeah. Except your body is way more scar tissue.
Oh yeah, that's how it started. That's him on the boar hunt.
Yeah.
And everything after. Have not caught up yet.
Yeah. So there was some discussions, and I thought it would be really prudent, and this is my idea. I'm gonna give it to Colin. Full disclosure that we should really do a recap here, and that's kind of skipped my brain. I got so excited going into Anarchy that no, we should actually take a pause. We should do a little recap, especially for anyone who's new who might be coming in. Also, a chance for anyone who's interested. Like, I have a really good like retrospective of the Age of Uther about sort of all of the random events we've listed for our 20 plus odd episodes. Right? I don't even include our solo episodes in the count for episodes. So all of that is just kind of out here, and I feel like we should go back and kind of do a quick little rerun of sort of where we got our glory and best moments, scariest moments, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled up my glory
Thank you,
chronicle, right? The
Mhm.
glory on the character sheet. There are so many entries. It's been and these are just the things I got glory for. That's not everything that happened. These are just the
Right.
things I got glory for, and there's so many.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised going back over mine because it's like in my mind there are these years which stand out as like notable, and
Mhm.
yet those aren't always the ones where I won the most glory.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or even the battles like I don't know how much we want to skip around, but like the Battle of Lindsay isn't even my most glorious battle for Irwin. That would actually be Merkard Creek that he won the most glory at. So,
Yeah.
or rather, the taking of the gatehouse, whichever one of those counts as a discrete battle.
The Merkard Creek, yes. I also have that as like that was 150 glory for me. I don't think I have another battle that comes really close. Battle of the Bayo was a little less.
Yeah.
Yep, that was
just a little less.
Terabell.
Yeah,
Which one was
Terabell.
terrible? What was
Terabell-
outside of where was it? Tentagel
yeah.
in Cornwall.
that was against Gorlois?
Yeah.
I actually have 160 for that one.
I also have 160.
Right. That was because you fought some pretty elite folks.
Yeah, we fought the giant killing house guard, if I recall.
Yeah.
But got 2 crits on the Earl of Cornwall.
Love it.
So we want to go. I don't know. I feel like I could go skip around or do year by year. I think more like, so Colin, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Like, what was your experience with Pendragon? Like, I know we kind of talked about it before, but like going into the campaign, what was your experience with it? Had you ever played it before?
I had run 2 years of the Great Pendragon campaign as a play-by-post. Back when I was running the Phantom Roll Booth as a Twitch channel, I also have a Discord for it, and we played on there. And we wrapped up essentially, God, we only actually got a year into it because it was they had just defeated the Giant of Goat Hill, and like that was it. That was where the game petered out. So I knew that was like an optional adventure going into the game. And I knew the Battle of Merkard Creek. It went very differently in my home game, right? Yeah. The Battle of Merkard Creek, oh shit, Uther rolled so well. And like that opening charge basically just shattered him, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think our fight was a slog. I remember that like it was Duke Ulfius of the Silchester was like doing great and essentially holding everything together.
Yeah, while us in the main were just, I have it right here because I was at that point I was still going like round by round just to give myself a feel for the mechanics, and it's like I'm seeing my squires get crit, my household knights are just getting lit up. None of them are really doing better on their charge rolls or anything. It was a slog. But I had also like it felt real. Like, man, not that I know what that feels like, but just like it felt visceral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I really liked that that battle as our first one, because that, you know, we zoom forward to us now and we have these big battles and they're still tough, but like it's a different tenor. We went into that fight being kind of gung-ho about it. We're like, yeah, like this is our first battle. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I remember Sir Lycus calling you pups and stuff. Like, you guys were going.
And Gareth was such a shit about it. He was such a little dick. And he totally deserved what he got. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I know.
Oh my God. So like, yeah, I'm looking at our father's record. Erwin's father, who's by the way is named Coldwin. I don't know if that's ever come up.
No.
Right.
I can't read it in the lights. I'm trying to think. There was a Battle of Windsor in 473.
Battle of Windsor, yeah.
I think that's the last one that Erwin's father participated in before he dies on garrison duty. Overwhelmed by Saxons is my note.
The Battle of Windsor, that would be Vortigern, or no?
Yeah.
That would have been
No.
It says no.
It's at. No, it is Vortigern. Vortigorn.
It's the rebellion against
Vortigern.
Vortigern.
Yeah.
And he's
It's-
the
but
one who's using these
Ambrosius is dead
Saxons
at
as
that point, I think.
mercenaries.
Yeah.
In terms of like going into it, we doing like character generation for this new. I'm actually starting a new play-by post of Pendragon because of this game. Starting that and like going through that, like the grandfather and father's history again, really hammers in how quickly our grandfather and father like died compared to how many you could, like how much of that history you could get through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It really, because for me, whenever we were going through the character generation, I was like, I'd never touched the rulebook before. I didn't know anything about the system. And so I was just trying to keep up with what we were rolling for. Was this in a book somewhere I could reference? And also, I don't want to ask stupid questions on stream, like all these kinds of things. So I just had this page of scrawled notes that I've had to reinterpret my own handwriting and what I was doing. So yeah, it really nails home what kind of character you're going to play. And like looking back on it's like we've had an eventful 10 years. Like it's been like so much.
It's been
so much stuff. Yeah.
It's been so much. Gosh. Looking through my notes here, the winter ride to Boughton. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That disaster of an adventure. We had Charlie on, right?
Yeah, Charlie was
That was
here.
Charlie's adventure.
Yeah, she was here. Yeah. What a weird session to try the game on. I'm sorry, Charlie, if you're watching this. Fuck.
No, I just remember Charlie doing really well, and
Charlie did great.
Could not pass a roll. I got 10 glory for the ride.
For the
there
ride.
was nothing else about that mission that ended well.
That's why I threw that tourney at the end of the year, because I was like, we are going to come out of this year with some glory. I was like flipping through the rule book, looking at all the handouts, like, what can I do? All
That's right.
I got money for a neighborhood tourney.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
I
the
got
same
ran
year.
through by my bastard,
Brother.
Bra the bastard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, and then I'm sort of thinking about it, like looking at it, I think Erwin was just like, well, I can't get involved with this family dispute. And if there's someone here to fight, I'll fight them. But it seemed like it was resolved diplomatically, at least. And so it was a scary nightmare that Erwin tries to forget.
And I think what I kind of like about what that sort of represented is that you weren't sure what Bra the Bastard was mentioning about your family's history and stuff, but then lo and behold, in your solo event, much later on, you're like, oh, I have a relative here. Like, there's more pieces to it. And I mean, full disclosure, I don't know what it is part as a GM, and I'm letting the dice kind of help dictate it. But I do know that I have an idea of the mystery. I'm not going to spoil here, generally speaking, but I don't know how I'm going to unfold it, or even if you will ultimately get it. I'm going to let the dice kind of decide and what adventures happen. And if it works, it works. Otherwise,
if it's resolved in Garrett's lifetime or not.
Oh no, it won't be resolved in your life. I imagine, maybe, I don't know. It depends on if you make it to the Forest Sauvage or not, kind of stuff. I imagine those sort of answers will end up going there in the Anarchy, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're talking about adventures in the future, not.
So I have not our retelling. I have a question. There was at one point, maybe in 486, we had a dream recalling our adventure with the goat herd and the giant and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a giant says, come and find me. And like, we never really followed up on that, did we? Because I don't know that
we also, not really, because you kind of went you went Christian.
Yeah, there was a year or two. I think it was one of those where looking at the years, it was like, man, we've got a raid, we've got a the Earl's visit. Next year we're sailing.
Yeah.
I think I forgot about it in all of those events. Yeah.
Yeah, you had an omen and you
Yeah.
didn't follow it. And so far nothing bad's happened.
Nothing
Ish.
bad's happened. Yeah. I have not forgotten about the standing stones that Erwin has.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure yet what role I'd like for them to play in his life.
I don't know either. But for any new Pendragon GMs, I strongly encourage you to keep some sort of pagan or Catholic or something else and another religion. So like of the three, have 2 representatives on your land at any time, and then have problems sometimes about like, I mean, you want to clear the field. Well, these people are going to be kind of mad because they kind of use that field, or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so which one do you end up favoring? They'll snip it. But yeah, Erwin, your religious story stuff has been very interesting to me to follow.
It's been a really good B thread to like of the A thread of your character's life. That thread has been really interesting.
Yeah, I eventually sort of came to terms with it because neither his spiritual nor his worldly, every time a check came up, they would never move.
Yeah.
And so I just took it that as like, he is like, maybe he believes it, maybe he doesn't. It's like, it's what everybody else does. He doesn't really want to draw that kind of attention to himself.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Especially not after the whole Gareth disappearing and the Elf Hill and color changing eyes, and it's just like, no, being put on trial for association with Merlin.
Oh yeah.
No.
Here's a question for you, Jim. When you created Erwin, right? Where did you think he was going to develop versus how he ended up developing? And that could be like mechanically as much as in, well, I guess psychologically is also mechanically in this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't know. I didn't have a ton of expectations just because I knew that the game had this sort of grand potential, and it would draw upon all these sort of things that like the DM has stuff going on behind the screens, and players have this sort of yearly generational outlook. And all I knew is I wanted a character that would survive. So his entire like psychological and sort of emotional life has been a surprise for me. And I feel like I just really reacted to them rather than having some kind of plan that I wanted. Am I hiccuping? I might have internet troubles.
Oh, you're great.
No,
good.
You seem good.
Cool. So yeah, I'm one thing I am surprised is how like he's very good at a fight and really bad at everything else. And like even his best non-combat skill, I think, is flirting. Look. So like looking at my, I think it's romance. Sorry, it's romance at a 13.
It's not bad.
Awareness 15. He's got those. But that's because of keen senses, which I'm assuming that everyone in my family has because it's a family trait. Or is that rolled
presumably?
Yeah,
getting ahead of ourselves.
It means your kids will have it too the next night you play.
Yeah,
anyone of your line. Yeah, hereditary.
Nice.
Both Aeswin and Glessig are going to inherit my good voice. Apparently, singing is a Winterborn Gunnet thing.
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah, we don't condone essentialism, but sometimes
it happens.
Yeah.
But I will take advantage of it in a game mechanic sense.
Yeah.
Unless we're going to root it out. Based on my initial skills that I set at character creation, I thought fairy lore was going to come up a whole lot more because I sunk a lot of points into that one. Relatively speaking, it's got an 11 in it.
Right.
And then some of the courtly skills, romance, singing, flirting, that I found that when I had an opportunity to use them, like I didn't see Erwin doing that. So, yeah.
Fair. Um,
I will say this, if just while we're quick on the subject about skills, I'm surprised at how bad I am at every other kind of weapon except for sword and spear. Like, like I don't know if it's like, would I really have to buy, like, say, axe up from 0, or is there a GURPS style subtract this from that to get your base?
You know, no, you're gonna have to buy this one, but I'm not doing that to you for Siege.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did notice that my Siege was somehow an 11 now.
Yeah, I edited yours.
Okay.
Okay.
The math on this, I mentioned in the prep stream for this, which is currently sitting in my Twitch VODs. It's your skill is your battle skill minus 15 plus 10.
Cool. That makes sense. All right.
Yeah, they're all super called out at it, so that's why.
Yeah. They've only really, I mean, Erwin's been in what, 2 sieges in these 10 years?
No,
I mean, that's
the reason why I'm giving you all
to
this.
Joe.
The reason I'm giving you all of this is that I never really solidified sort of how raid should work. I let you all roll battle instead of maybe siege when you're defending your raids your houses every year, and that's kind of on me. And so it felt kind of unfair to not let you have some checks and stuff and a chance to develop this skill. So this is sort of my I'm sorry. Okay.
Fair enough.
So take note, future GMs.
There we go.
Using that conflict table stuff from Book of the Manor to see if people get raided or pillaged or just bandits. That's a great way for characters to level up their siege.
Nice.
It's just I like all the little things like that. The justice events, what happened this year. Like, they're resolved quickly, but they add to the richness of the session, I think.
Yeah. It having those regular moments really helps define what a day in the life of Gareth or Erwin looks like. It's one of these things when I play D&D, 9 times out of 10, I have no idea what my character, what they do, right? I know how they work in combat, how they move in a dungeon, but like I don't know what their day-to-day looks like when they wake up in the morning. And you can make up these details. Plenty of people do. But Pendragon has a way to sort of put that in front of you without you having to spin it from the ether. It says that because of your social status, because of how society has organized itself, these are what is expected for you to do. And so then we find interesting things in how we deviate left or right from that expectation.
Yeah. What I love is that Pendragon's like, all right, you made it to 9th level as your fighting man. You finally got your castle. And Pendragon's like, all right, we just want that game. Yeah. You've already got the castle.
You got the castle.
You're a knight. And we're just going to like dig into all the nooks and crannies of what that experience is like. And then like inject it with a boatload of myth and legend. And
yeah.
I was telling Colin this before you got on here, but Pendragon and playing a knight is a great example of what it's like to be in a civilization of like law and like a law versus chaos, of where it's not always great just because you have the power of law. Is a lot of crap rolls downhill, and it just so happens that you're in the middle and the crap really is like the peasantry, right? And you can think of adventurers as being even less than peasantry. So that's sort of what happens. In fact, I was actually considering I never could make it work, but I actually wanted to have a little of a bit of an illusion to the idea of you guys having to, like, some people in your town needing help or like could help you with a task and being like, oh, they're just kind of a wink at an adventurer, and what it would kind of be like.
We're the
we're really just yeah, it really is just
denarii.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
we have to go.
Thank you for taking care of those wolves. I'm so thank you.
Yes.
We have to go hunt down some bandits because they were like plundering some ancient Kimric burial site. It's like, oh, we we killed this spirit, this grave spirit, and took all the gold. It's like, that was probably my great uncle, asshole. Like, give us our shit back.
You can't just do that. You can't just roll up in here and take things.
Well,
we own this land. You don't.
Like it's very cool. But let's
I love it.
Yeah. I think it would be a bit of a disservice if we don't do a little bit of a year recap for folks.
Certainly.
This is the first time people come in. Right.
Yeah.
So the very first episode, you all get knighted.
Yep.
Jesus.
Boar hunt.
The boar hunt.
Yeah.
The sheer cheek of bringing that boar in and calling it the Saxon King Ale.
Yep. It was and y'all feasted on it. It was great.
It was great. It was. That was and we swore our vows to each other, but then I recall like rolling really low. And so it was one of those like, man, one day this is gonna come back, and it's not gonna be.
Wasn't that the start of Jim's pattern of failing feast rolls? Like whenever you called on a passion during a feast.
Yeah, the very first feast we were on, where is it? I fumbled. Well, it was with Lady Grade and Sir Frayed.
Yeah,
and that's where he got his suspicion. Is that fumble was really terrible. I have a note. Like I have a note to myself: do not call on passions during feasts.
I remember Erwin coming to Gareth for like advice on like, you were like, let me vet this situation with you, and Gareth would just like blew him off because I was trying to like get buddy with the fucking like Castellan of Sarum, like the marshal dude. I always forget his name.
I was Lycus at that point, I think.
Lycus, yes.
Elad replaces him.
Yeah, Lycus.
Okay.
He retires.
Ah, okay. That's who keeps showing up in my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I crit fumbled. Sir Frayed sweeps in, and then I had 6 fields ruined by flooding, and then because of stewardship, a bad harvest. So yeah.
You're literally financially dead in the water.
Where he was financially dead. He was married a year. Glessig lasts a year, and that was a shame. She had a 24 in steward. Yep. She dies in childbirth next year. It's a real shame.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because then I keep forgetting it's not coincidence that one of Gareth's kid is named Glessig, because Glessig was born the year that your wife died, and Gareth is like, we'll keep her spirit sort of going.
Right. Yeah. Let's see, that was when Erwin started to wonder whether or not he was just gonna have to deal with shit like this forever. He was just like that first year.
It turns out, yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just more emotional than physical. But yeah, like that was definitely the start of the great story. I've told the story about you to so many people at conventions. It's so good. The whole arc. So let's get through it. Next episode was Mercred Creek. Our first battle. That was, we mentioned that already earlier, how it was so formative for you all. You also got the most glory. It's also the beginning of the memes of Cornwall not showing up.
And that's 485, and then we go all the way down, like flash forward to 491 is when it resolved.
Yeah.
Right. 485, 7 years.
Yeah.
No, 6. I'm really good at math. 6 years later.
6 years, but that's like at least 3 musters that Cornwall doesn't make it for. I thought, like, he doesn't show up to the invasion here and then somewhere else.
Yep, he did. Well, I don't think because remember the Battle of Bayeux, that invasion of Frankland was like a tawdry affair. That was like Uther didn't commit like anyone. Yeah, it was a bunch of Irish that Maddock brought in.
Yeah,
but yeah, so he would have missed. He would have missed a lot. Yeah, so it took 6, but it still took 6 years for that thread that started on the Battle of Mercred Creek.
Was this the year that Mind Dog gave you 3 favors?
Yeah, but I don't know why.
Or
Still,
was that the following one? I don't remember.
it was in. Let's see. It looks like at the
45 or
beginning
46?
of 486. Yes,
Okay.
that's what I have it written down.
God.
I also had it written down somewhere that he had a kid at some point.
Mind Dog had a kid?
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I don't. It's not like highlighted anywhere. It's like in a margin note. From some year, like 488 something.
Oh yeah, it's Gwern. Yeah, I got Gwern.
Okay. That's the other thing, is that the NPC spreadsheet that you would have to do it. Like, I don't see how you could manage all of them without a spreadsheet.
You do it by just ignoring everybody. You just
Sure.
ignore, and then they come back on screen. That's what most people do.
Mhm.
And it becomes not like a Monty Python joke fest, but it does becomes this sort of like, oh, this event happens, and you're like, out of nowhere, you're like, it doesn't add this. It doesn't really feel connected anymore. It just kind of really feels like you're kind of just in a weird lazy river, but it's like an aggressive bumper car lazy river, and you're like, I don't have any controls, man. I'm just getting pummeled, right? So I wanted to avoid that.
Yeah.
In fact, no, I love Steven. It's not his fault, but that was my experience as a player. It felt a lot like there were these disconnected things happening to my character, and I was like, when I run this game, that's not happening.
Sure.
I want you all to have, maybe you didn't do anything about it, but at least you know where it's coming from.
Yeah, you could show your work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a detail I always appreciate in GMsmanship.
But it does turn out that showing your work, though, requires a spreadsheet of like 90 NPCs. So,
Sure.
like, I don't know. Maybe there's something to this bumper car.
Yeah.
Consider it all the,
That-
Anyway,
the feel, but like that's also contributed to the feeling of it being such a big world. The fact that we can have Sir Frayed as our neighbor, and he's still doing his own thing. He like his divorce like happened totally off screen, but like it had emotional consequences for him and practical consequences for our friend Erwin, because it like completed a romance that he didn't think was ever going to be completed.
Yeah, it opened a door of like possibility that like I was surprised by how, like, I was like, oh yeah, we're doing this. Like, this is what's happening. I'm
so glad I recorded it too. I recorded that prep episode. It's there. It's like literally there. This whole thing unfurls. It's incredible.
Awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
When did you all start falling in love with the feast? Was it around this time? Like, was it the first immediate love at first sight?
It was
love at first sight.
So immediate. It was the first feast that was the Easter feast where I met Elaine. I met Lady Elaine for the first time. Yeah. I got 50 glory. It was immediate.
I love it. 20 for that one. And then I had a few years where it was all right. We'll get to them, including one year it was 630. But
oh God, yeah.
But yeah, the feast has never been Erwin's strong suit.
Yeah, you got a story written about you.
Yeah, that year.
Your priest got you.
That was a year. 490. Whew. Man.
I think for me, the real appeal of the feast system, and it's Book of the Feast, right? This is not the normal core.
Oh no, not at all. No, we're definitely using Book of the Feast. That's the number one book if you're a GM. If you want to buy something other than the actual campaign itself and core book, is Feast. Huge mileage out of that book.
Yeah,
I love so much of the game, but there is a lot of complexity when you start stepping outside of core. Right, like you watched us butcher Book of the Manor and Book of the Estate, and then try to Frankenstein them together, and now we're still kind of exploring options.
Yeah, we're going backwards. We're regressing back to kind of Great Pendragon campaign standard plus some fun.
But extras. Like Book of the Feast, it is so clean. It's always clear what the stakes are when you make one of these mechanical choices, right? You have your geniality that you get for just where you sit, which is a consequence of your appearance roll, which you can dump money in to get bonuses. So like you're always given the option to like kind of pass these things if you really want to. And then in the feast, you have random happy fun times, which I'm always going to pull that lever. But then you also have like gambling and flirting and indulging, which by virtue of succeeding at the check, you get geniality. So again, there's this like, it's all in your control, but none of it is so certain that it's a no-brainer, right? It's like it's a buffet of options, and all of them have stakes, but you can choose the one that you can choose your own risk. You can choose your own risk. I love that.
To me, I love it because in my eyes, it's like a genuinely new procedure for play that's introduced. Like combat, I get because it's someone's going to go first. There's a hit, there's a damage, that kind of thing.
Hit domain,
the domain game is similar. It's like, okay, this is the cycle. These are the decisions you make. But like the feast is like, I can't think of anything comparable that like gamifies this situation. Maybe like I don't know.
It's not a situation I think I've seen gamified before, right? Like what D&D splat book handles having a formal feast?
The closest I can think of is Adventures in Middle Earth, where it's like you have to roll etiquette to like talk to Galadriel.
And I love that. It's great, but it's also like a one-time thing, right? Once you create the safe haven, there it is. It's there. Now you can take a long rest.
It's not, you got to impress these people year after year. Can't show up in last year's fashions.
You know? Plus,
Um,
whatever random generator you're using for the actual meals.
It's great.
It's the book.
It's perfect.
It's the book. That's awesome.
Yeah. The real pro strat for anyone else again who wants to add stuff to Book of the Feast. Still from the Redwall books. Grab anything that they wrote. That sounds real. All that stuff sounds real tasty.
Deeper never turned potato and beetroot pie.
Yeah, you know, like honey spice cakes drizzled in syrup and pears and.
I love the savory
Redwall books back there.
Hand pies.
Astrological cakes is the
astrological cakes.
That's the good one here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 480. So like I think we kind of are also still jotting around, but 486 in my notes. Year 46. This is the first year I do mention the Enchanted Shield, which is where our poem came from today. Which is cool.
Nice.
That's where we met King Pellinor.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was a magical year.
It really was. 486.
Pellinor.
Yeah. This is the
Uther and Merlin.
Sword reveal. Yeah.
Then the Goat Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually seeing Merlin get Excalibur.
Mm-hmm.
All of that was 48.6.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was one of those things where the fact that it's just this blip, this peak into another world, and then the rest of the 10 years is just the slog of the Age of Uther, at least for Erwin. You know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what does he think of that? What is he like? Those things happened to him. Like he shared those experiences with Gareth, but like they've never really come back other than Carcosa, which he tries to forget.
That kind of speaks to the reality that we have tried to construct around these characters. It is a reality with enough weight that we have to seriously consider our characters' ability to judge these things as real or not. I mean,
that's exactly the goal. We spoke about this beforehand. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
we literally spoke about it as a group beforehand, being like, "This is kind of what we want. We want this sort of magic and doubt thing." I'm like, I've never done that before, but I'm into it, and I tried really hard to get it right.
Mm-hmm. I remember, I do remember that conversation. The thing we talked about was the idea that in Arthurian literature, I mean, all this magic, it's all metaphor, right? That's what the literature is doing. It's metaphoricalizing these lessons about reality, about these observations about chivalry. And so we wanted a supernatural feel to this game where there was this uneasy parallel, right? We kind of get the lesson of the Goat Hill thing. We kind of get that. But it's been literalized for the characters, even though it's a metaphor for us. Mm-hmm. And that tension, I think, really keeps it from becoming that high fantasy of like, let's talk to the guy who knows about magic swords. Let's find a magic scroll of undo curse.
Right. Yeah.
Or another GM of this game could easily have taken this to add a lot more like, get rid of the fairy that's living in your farm. That's like, turning everyone's socks purple, or just annoying people, or like the weird bubbling that's coming out of your well, make that stop. Like there's a lot of things you could do to just add stuff to your world that would obviously be like magical and fairies, because it's definitely something I've played down in this game. Where I don't think I would have otherwise. Like you have to understand that, like, and again, like I hate doing the historical argument stuff. It's like this is a game ultimately, but the idea is that fairies and things coexisted with you, and that was just part of the world. Like it's how some things were explained, right?
Yeah.
But it often wasn't like the end all be all. They were explanations of secondhand observations and things like that.
Yeah. I justified it for Erwin as like, he probably believes in giants. He probably believes they built certain things around that he sees, but he's never seen one. He's never fought one. He hasn't, felt the resistance of his sword against its flesh. That's a different kind of thing than just there's giants around. And I think it's those kinds of experiences that, I don't know, I'm curious to see what's next really because of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And this is, and it's a matter of like, what reality do the characters live in? Is it they live in a reality that has this supernatural element, but they don't live in it, right? In their heads. That's not where they live. And so we've made sure the rest of the game reflects that.
It's kind of, if you think about magic, it's kind of extremely transformative if you are subject to something unexplainable, right? Like, it's, so being able to keep a level head to it is.
I kind of like it though, because it's it's a dial that can get adjusted as the campaign progresses, and as our tastes change, or as our want of different experiences out of the game changes,
Yeah, we're playing this game forever. So,
all right, I do have a regret. I wrote down. I found a quote of mine that I wrote down that I didn't use, and it would have been perfect for Uther. It's just as a throwaway line about when Uther is sick, and it's that I've seen healthier graveyards than that one.
That's a pretty good line, Eric. It's a pretty good line.
I copied and pasted it in the bottom of on page 48 of 70 in my notes, everybody. So,
don't worry. In 492, I'm gonna fuck up my big special speech by giving it early because I misunderstood your framing.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so
it's all on video too. I've never done it.
47 we skirmish and stuff. It was just but the real thing that was the big feast. That was actually the reveal of the sword, and where everything kind of starts coming together with you all. Right, Merlin reveals the sword. You all get extra glory for being the ones doing it, but then that ends up biting you all in the butt later on.
Yep. This
is
the year
witch hunt thing. 487.
487. This is also the year that we both get knocked out on that raid, if I remember.
This is the other big formative moment for Gareth. That's why his other kid is named Acewin.
Yeah.
His firstborn is named Acewin because he has been trying to figure out who this fucking Saxon was.
Right.
And this was the Saxon that he took hostage from, was it at
Mirkwood Creek? This game just keeps giving, man.
It had to have been Mirkwood Creek because we didn't have anything between them.
I think it was for like 2 years.
Yep.
This game just
so you know what? Mirkwood Creek might have been the only time he didn't get knocked out. No, he did, because my fucking squire was the one. I took the Saxon, and then I sent the squire back to the camp with it because I knew that they can get you money, and then I got like my ass knocked out.
Yeah. Boy,
that's great.
Someone on YouTube is currently in the comments going to be like, nope, wrong. I would just watch that episode.
Just saw that one. I was going to say, we got a lot there. There was a north wind that blows, bloody bones ahead. Something about Ulfius urging Uther to do something. Maybe show Excalibur. So
Yeah.
It was one of those years,
Yeah, they wanted, that definitely is, I remember that. Ulfius was like, show us the sword and stuff, and he couldn't.
Yeah, he couldn't. He couldn't until 2 years later.
The ability to wield Excalibur is definitely a motif, and it's unstable, right?
Yeah.
To hold it.
It's been watching Uther from afar has been interesting, just because it's like, I imagine it's how often you probably would see the king as just like a rank knight, maybe a couple of times in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You just sort of catch snippets.
It's like seeing the CEO at a company, It's
Right.
like you're never gonna, outside of like your yearly meeting or whatever, you're never gonna see him.
No, if you might happen to catch him on a bad day, that's your entire impression of him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that 487 was also when Erwin got his cat, the lucky cat.
Oh man, the lucky cat! I forgot about the cat. Oh god, what a game!
And that cat lasts like 5 years or almost. So I love that cat.
Who'd you end up giving the kitten to? Not a kitten.
I had 2 kittens. One of them went to the Earl as a return gift. Didn't serve him very well, clearly, and and the other went to Father Tingrid as part of just a thank you for something, like either the wedding or like looking after Gorthrin.
Eric is secretly tracking the family tree of this.
I'm rolling cat survival table. Yeah,
cat survival table.
This might be something like Erwin's like,
pedigree?
Wait, the Earl's not alive anymore. I'm gonna get that cat back.
Your great grandson is gonna be at the fucking Knights of the Round Table, and there's gonna be a cat that goes by and touches his leg.
Yes,
same cat.
Yeah, Erwin's gonna have to rescue that kitten.
It's gonna be amazing.
From Sarum.
Yeah. God.
But yeah. Let's see what else. Yeah, we got knocked out. There was like 7 weeks of healing.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was a bad year. And then sounds. I have a note: sounds of bells and hooves, and a torch-bearing rider appears to be headless.
The headless rider that never gets resolved.
It never got resolved. Yeah, and I think that was another one of those that Erwin was just like, "Is it? Was it?" But deep down, something bad was going on.
Yeah.
Maybe now that he's got no liege lord.
Yeah.
Let's see what comes back, right?
I found that element as a player very interesting, because normally, like, I play in games, where it's like player agency above everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And if the player wants to do something, like having an NPC be like, nope, is like a line you don't cross as a GM. But the way that Pendragon has it set up, like, I feel like I kind of want to obey this guy. Like, everything I have is based on this guy. So like, just going off and doing my own thing seems like irresponsible, even though it promises a different kind of adventure. And I like having to make that decision.
Yeah. I think it works really well because Greg Stafford was very aware of the literary genre that he was drawing from. The values of Arthuriana, they have merit, right? There's meritful stuff in Arthuriana, but it's not all stuff we want to take on as like, these are virtues, these are vices. And so by having a system of traits and passions, it allows a player to explore people who take those values seriously without having to adopt them yourself, right? I can explore a character driven to cruelty by a cruel political system because I don't have to embody that cruelty. I have the traits and the passions that will sort of be the safety valve, right?
Yeah. I found that the way that the characters are set up and the way that they've, the passions and the traits, it like really plays to how I like to play a character, which is a bit removed. a bit like, I don't know what they want to do, what their character would want to do, but I want to do this. And then the game pushes back a little. It says, no, I don't know that you would, you know? And so I enjoy that tension. It's fun. It's very fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very satisfying.
489 is the year Father Tathan approaches Erwin about Lady Grade, and this is at the beginning of her love coming back.
I have one entry for 489. Yeah, I have 2 entries for 489.
49 though. This is the Broughton affair.
Yeah.
In 490?
49.
No. 489?
Yeah, my notes say 49.
I have it 488. It was the end of 88.
It was the winter between the two, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But it rolled over. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, I got 10 glory out of that one.
Yep, and it was just the ride. It was just the hard ride.
And nightmares.
And then we fucked everything else up. I got ran through, never saw my brother again. Charlie
2 years
disappeared.
in a row. 2 years in a row that the Earl was like, go deal with this thing for me. And it was just like, it's dealt with technically, but
yeah, he stopped asking you to do stuff, you know.
I thought that was completely fair.
That's the realness of it. You no longer get to do.
Very fair, very fair. But yeah, that was after the year that we traveled to the mainland. We saw the green sails, but then we get back.
Green sails.
And 489, I have a march on Cornwall. I guess that's not the first. We marched on them twice, I guess.
That was the piece of Excalibur, the hills of Mendip. Yes. Arthur showed his whole wang, and Golois was like,
nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice. It's a soft 9. I like it.
There you go.
Yeah. It's exactly
placated him for a while.
As Mallory has written. Soft 9. I dig it, dude.
I
shouts the dude.
Should be less vulgar on your channel. You're gonna get demonetized or something.
No.
I said fuck within the first 5 minutes. Who cares? It's not like none of my videos are monetized. I don't care.
That's fair. Yeah. 48. Yeah, the Battle of Bayeux, the Green Sails, the Winter Ride.
I really just think of the viewer, and I don't want them to sit through a 30-second ad to watch a video.
Sure.
I do it for
That's
you.
Fair. Yeah. I wouldn't even, if there were a 30 ad in front of this, I wouldn't even be watching. I wouldn't show up. Be like, no. How dare? How durst?
How very dare. The battle of, or I wrote Conquest of Bayeux was one of those where I was like, oh yeah, there is another world outside of the British Isles.
It sucks.
I was just from in my head, it's like, it's just, that's it. That's the entire world is these 4 whatever islands or whatever.
That's the best part of this episode is that it is for everyone. Like no one really leaves the island except for weirdos and like adventuring raiders, the Saxons come here to, that is kind of your world.
Yeah.
And you do leave your world. Yeah. It's supposed to be from a player and a character perspective.
That's so interesting that you wrote Conquest of Bayeux, because I think that's absolutely more accurate. I have the Battle of Bayeux, but you had your squire kill the peasant. Remember?
The squire did kill a peasant, and that was not his life to take.
And it was like, oh, we're saving these people from the Saxons. So like
from the Franks,
Conquest. I think that and remember Gareth threw his fucking tantrum where he lost his helmet and you had to like hug him.
The first of 3 of those kinds of things that happened on battlefields for us.
Yeah.
Never.
Oof.
Never trust him.
And Gareth's the whole reason for his breakdown was that he was like, I hate France. This place sucks. Who wants to fight for these assholes? I don't know them. Those
poor Romano Gauls.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And that's the start of darkness for Sigarius.
Right? Yeah. That's what does it.
We came. We saw, we conquered a little bit, and then we went fucking home, and he got the short end of the stick. And at the time, we felt bad, right? But we only saw him distantly. It wasn't until next year. No, it's
a while before he pops back up again.
Before he pops back up.
Yeah, he goes dark for a while, and then like there's like rumors that he's back or something like that.
Yeah, I know. It's rumors he's killed.
And then there was rumors he was killed.
And then rumors he was back, and then rumors that Matta killed him, and it's
He's one of those where it's like
Marvel character. It's
I feel like if we'd had a chance or something to interact with them 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 like one more time, it would have been a different sort of it would have played out a little differently, I think. But I don't know if those are planned events or roll of the dice kind of things or one-off. They're just
you don't really get to interact with them.
Oh well, I'm never going to get one of those challenge coins.
At this point, you can have Garrus. He is so disillusioned with Sigarius. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, you should. You fucking ruined everything. But I mean, he also got ruined by Uther. So
yeah. It's fucking crab bucket up in England right now.
What? I like crab bucket.
Crab bucket? You never heard that?
I mean, no, I've only heard it in the context of anyone trying to crawl out of a crab bucket that just pulls you back in.
Right, yeah. It's like Uther's going to be High King. Nope, Sigarius says, fuck you.
Oh, okay. That's, yeah. Gotcha.
All of them.
Okay. Yeah. Throw away.
Yep, so we got 49.
Really?
That was 489.
Yeah.
49 ends with the tournament.
Yep, I got no glory for that.
No. Gareth got, if I recall,
young Gareth. New Gareth.
Someone, an ambitious young squire took home the prize, I think.
He was a squire, which means he's now a knight. Yep. He's out there I'm going to kick his ass.
Out there.
Assuming he was knighted.
Yeah, assuming he doesn't have 4 mortal wounds, he shrugged off.
Yeah.
4. That's crazy. Gareth should not be alive. He's like
correct. Mechanically, we skipped a lot of deterioration checks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunately those deterioration checks are really interesting, but when you read them, it's like it requires like rolling every week until you either die or get better. And so I get why we kind of skipped them because it's not super conducive to our 2-hour sessions.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, I'm just bad. I just forgot.
And
I just cheated. I cheat all the time in this game.
I mean, I could totally open. What was the name of the? What was the name of that rival? What was the name of that squire?
Elad is what I've got.
It was Elad. Oh yeah, there it is. Beat Gareth at tournament. Won the tournament. I had him as a bachelor knight already in my notes, not as a squire. Like, where the hell is he? I'm not finding him. Okay, yep, there he is. Okay, cool. All right, good. Yeah, obviously, I'm gonna highlight him. He's got to come up this year. I'm not this year, but in the Anarchy, right?
In the Anarchy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a big note of that. That makes sense to me.
Gonna eat his fucking beans.
It's time for Gareth to work out some grudges.
Yeah.
Yeah. All bets are off.
Yeah.
The Anarchy.
Speaking of which, though, I do have grudges to talk about for this Anarchy period, but we're not gonna deal with that yet. Let's keep doing our recap. 490. Lady Ellen dies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Earl's first wife.
Earl's first wife dies under mysterious circumstances. And this was, I think, when you really started to highlight the rivalry between Salisbury and Silchester. Because the Silchester folk was like, oh, he killed his wife. And the Salisbury folk were like, oh, the romantic rival killed his wife.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever figured out what really happened.
No.
There's not forensics. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I thought there was an overlap between like a plague, an outbreak or something in 489 or something. There was
Broughton.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Broughton,
that was the
one.
This comes after Broughton.
right? And it's like,
yeah.
ooh, was it because of an angry druid? Was it just because plagues work like that sometimes? Like, we kind of...
Typhoid.
Sir Blaine's never really shows up that much on screen in our game, but if he did, and if he was played by an actor, it would definitely be Rufus Sewell.
Who?
Rufus Sewell? Adamar from Knight's Tale?
I get you. Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've never known that guy's name. He was in Man in the High Castle. He's really good in that.
He's really good in that one too, yeah.
Oh, he's got such a hateable, handsome face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me pause real quick.
Yeah.
Would you? I mean, I'm not gonna say like we're not doing this, but I want to ask you all if we did start the game like in a future restart of the whole campaign, would you start earlier than when we started, or is this okay? Because there's a Book of Uther expansion that adds on like another 10 years or so. And like really you play through like the Earl getting married, and you end up kind of playing more like an established knight come Mercud Creek. Or do you like kind of picking up?
I do kind of wish we'd spend a few years as bachelor knights. Like, I know why we weren't, because we're like, they need knights, they need full-fledged, you know?
Yeah.
But I do think there was a year where we are just kind of have to earn the manor, have to earn the right to marry, those kind of things.
Yeah.
That's what I wish I would have done too.
Yes, I agree.
Same year, just lower class is what I would have done.
That sounds good. There's also part of me that would have loved to, after we generated our ancestors, play like a one shot of their death, right? So them in their prime, and then once after that session, then you jump into here's these like squires about to be knighted with nothing, like especially like if your ancestor died at like the Battle of Windsor, that's an awesome battle to die in. That's a good battle. And that could be a nice sort of like, there's a word for it when you like
catharsis?
Forecast. No, when you forecast where a narrative is going to go with an in media res. Yeah, I mean, it's a like kind of foreshadowing. Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway.
Awesome.
I can dig it. We did kind of jump pretty quickly into being richer than bachelor knights.
Yeah. That's on me. Big huge warning label that's not written in the book is that those ladies that they write down that are eligible heiresses are not for your knights. Those are not. They don't say that. They don't say, nowhere in the book does it say that.
I read it and it says they are.
I know, but this is really like, this is where I learned only going back and talking to other GMs about it. And like the idea here is that those are for 8,000 plus glory knights. Like, think of it that way. Like, you need to be like an heiress. Like Salisbury would have, only a handful, and you have hundreds and hundreds of knights. Everybody wants to marry these people. They're super valuable. There's no way, Sir Bumble Nuts, with 1,000 glory is getting anywhere close to this.
Yeah,
right?
How much glory did I have when I first flirted with her?
Yeah,
it was at the Easter Feast of 486. I had 1,355 glory. And I went up to Lady Elaine and I was like, hey bisexual finger guns.
Yeah, and I had to retcon a reason why that happened, ultimately. And it's fine. In fact, I think it's made the game much more interesting. But
Garrett's position is one of those it's
a vestigial thing from previous editions of Pendragon, where knights were expected to be bigger at the start.
It's another example of why you should just cheat at games, because then you end up winning. Like I'm currently winning at Pendragon. So there's your lesson for the session.
You're not even
And
winning.
there's so many
Just cheat.
different
But you're not
ways to
even winning.
cheat. You know.
I know.
You don't even have the
Garrett's life
glory.
sucks.
You're cheating and you're still not ahead on glory.
Oh
Give you
yeah.
every
What's your
advantage.
glory total at?
My glory to I did cross into 4,000.
Yeah.
I had to read it because I forgot to put in my traits and passions for last year, so I fucked up my total. But I have 3,700 written down, and then I have 290 and then 140 to add in still.
Yeah,
Nice.
you crossed the 4K.
I crossed the 4K.
Yeah, yeah.
I now get to draw 3 cards during
Hell
these.
yeah.
It's the important
I
one.
actually, in doing this glory audit, I realized I'm short 10 glory.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
47.55.
Yeah, so after Bayou, that's when we get our solo events, right? 490, year 490 is when we get that. That's because of a battle, right?
Yeah. The
Lindsay?
That's Lindsay, the second time.
That's why you mentioned Lindsay. I'm like, I don't see Battle Lindsay. That's because I fucked off. I wasn't there. I technically showed up and immediately left. And then
Also,
my
foreshadowing.
squire immediately left.
Yeah, that was the other one. How does that even?
I love how you
explain
spun that out, though. That was so cool. That the reason my squire also left was because he was like, "Oh shit, he went into this mysterious forest that's suddenly in front of me. I got to go find him."
That's great.
That was.
I was looking at it. So there were 6 rounds of that battle.
Mm-hmm. It was
Yeah.
it was a slog.
It was a real slog because we kept getting stuck and unable to recharge. Like we do our first charge on round 1 and we don't get another charge until round 5.
Yeah.
It was a slog. I lost 3 shields.
I love how meticulous your notes are. That's like really cool.
Yeah, I just it's how I can pay attention. Like if I don't just like shorthand things as they're happening, my mind wanders.
Yeah.
And so like I have to pay attention if I write.
Your blow by blow.
Yeah. But it's good. And then we went for the Saxon king and his house guards.
Yeah, you thought about getting the banner. Like I gave you the choice,
Yeah,
I think.
yes.
In that one.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a choice. And I think we were going for the glory. Like if we could do this, then that'd be phenomenal.
And I tried to roll my hatred of Saxons to buff me, and that's when I fucked it up. Like right when we were about to charge the Hearthgonauts.
If you would have captured Okta,
that would have been crazy.
you would have been looking at like a couple hundred Libram, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's worth it. I don't regret it. I don't regret going for the king and not the banner, because I got 2 prisoners out of it.
Yes,
saved the Earl. You know, it was a good. Like the outcome was good personally for Erwin, if not for everybody.
we've had a lot of these moments where our fortunes are kind of mirrored, right, in opposite directions. Where you'll have 6 fields flood and a terrible harvest, and your wife die, and I'll have twins and like a great harvest and also like a book written about me that I maybe commissioned myself. And then I'll have a breakdown and run off into a mysterious forest, and you'll capture 2 Saxons on the battlefield
and save the Earl.
and save the Earl.
Yeah, that was that was it. I like, to me, we could stop playing after these 10 years. Like I don't want to, but we could stop playing after these 10 years, and I'd be like, this is a full experience.
Yes,
You know, yeah, that's a cool one.
that's a question I would have for Eric, is because you've run this more than any of us, obviously, which is not to say you've run it like a bunch, just that we've run it not at all. This game is so long form. What is like the minimum? What would you suggest if someone wants to play this game, but they don't want to commit to the Great Pendragon campaign? What is like the minimum for the Pendragon experience? Like, is it a number of sessions? Is it like a couple years? Like, would you get the feel over like 3 in-game years?
I don't know. That's such a hard question, man. I know others who are more experienced than me recommend there's this one shot called like the Knight of the Red Castle or something like that. That's set during the actual like Arthurian Knights of the Round Table kind of stuff. It depends. Part of me says that the Pendragon experience is playing through all of it and seeing the dark and it's so like I don't know. You're like asking like what's the best part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Like I don't know. You can't really. It's hard.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's when Aragorn parries the knife that's thrown at him. So that has an objective answer.
That's
so it's wrong.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, that's objectively
it is
the
a good
best
one.
part.
It's like when I think about it, like Battle of Lindsay's after 6 years of us playing these characters, and like that's why it stands out to me. I think if you were to just play a big battle like that, it would be interesting from a mechanical sense, but it wouldn't have the same weight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You need the texture of doing these same things, like a big battle. We've had multiple a big battle.
Yeah.
But they're so embroidered by the rest of what has happened.
Yeah.
You're making this fictional cask of whiskey, right? And like it needs time to like age and go. And then what happens is after time, you put the next batch into the old batch and gets reincorporated and mixed and seasoned
wood.
And like it just keeps going through. Like, so I don't know, like to say when's the best time to drink from it, like take a sip. It's like, shit, dude, I don't know. It's your personal, you know what I mean? Like it's an Infinicask going on here. It's tough to say. But it's
the type of gaming that you don't get for a lot right now.
Yeah, I don't think I would give you. I don't think I could give you a straight answer because except that I don't think we've hit the right time for the definitive Pendragon experience.
Fair.
I think
that's a good answer. That's informative answer.
We're still playing it, so I don't know. I am completely satisfied with what we've done so far. I'm super fucking thrilled. But we're also playing Age of Uther. This game's called King Arthur. So like, you know, at one point I want to fucking play King Arthur, right? I want to do that so badly because there's so much foreplay.
But think of how much better it's going to be having gone through all of this. Like even when you were saying there's an expansion for 10 years earlier, the first question in my mind is, would I replay it? And I don't want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, none of us do.
No, right? But the build up is going to make it so much worth it.
Like that's the thing. Playing it and now I want to run it.
You've done that. Several YouTube comments have mentioned being like, dude, I love this shit. This is awesome. Like, I want to run this game or play it in it now. And other people are like, I want to find a group. Like, yeah. And that you're running it for a play-by-post thing. Like, that is so cool. That I'm able to, like, help push this stuff up. And then you all get out and push me to more and more heights to succeed. And you're sharing it too. Yeah.
You're Uther. So
I got to start and I'm flawed and terrible. Yeah. And I die horribly at a feast. That's the play. Right. I enjoy it though. And I enjoy hearing everyone else's enjoyment a lot. It's kind of why I do this. It's kind of why I stream. Right. It's part of the joy of it all.
Absolutely.
We gotta fucking speed run this shit because like I actually wanted to play today.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to play a little bit. I didn't even realize that. Like, I can keep an eye on the time a little bit. I was like, oh, we have an hour to go. It'll be fine. And all of a sudden, I'm like, Jesus, this is 30 minutes. What?
Oh yeah, this is how it happens. Yeah,
it's okay. Let's run through.
We're in 490s. We're in the 490s. Let's keep going. It's fine.
The Battle of Terabel, right? We talked about that. This moment with Gorlois, and then the fallout.
But you get glory cucked.
We do. We get glory cucked.
Which many people have mentioned being like, that's the most stone cold thing you could have done, Eric. Nah, absolutely right. And I have no regrets.
I have analyzed that and like just thought about it. And the only thing I can explain is there's a week in there where I have like in my notes, we've got him. Like we double critted this guy. We have got him. And then start the next week. And I hadn't reviewed my notes. And I was just like, oh shit, we could have literally we like just left that on the table. Yeah.
Yep. We wore the horns. We wore the
survived.
Horns.
Someone else is dead. They got no glory when they're dead.
Right.
They just
to be honest,
your head wasn't delivered to your dad on a silver platter. So
exactly.
Let's win.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh boy. So 491.
It could have been us ridden them.
This was also fun because I get to describe a little bit about Cornwall in general and it being different.
Cornwall, and that was interesting having the sort of year at Cornwall, right? When our characters were recovering, we were like chilling there, talking with Gorlois' widow and stuff.
Yeah, you're not going back that year, and that's kind of a big deal. If anything, I think I would have foreshadowed that a little more. However, it's not. It was unclear that you were going to win. So maybe not.
Yep. Let's go. 492.
492. Where's
that's the trial?
Trial.
Oh, that was
Big
such a
trial.
good year.
Yeah.
And Pelennor again. Pelennor came back.
My notes for. Oh, I have multiple 492s. That's what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, I have a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah, I was like, my part 1 says like hardly anything about what's going on. Yeah. Part 2 is the big trial. King. Yeah, I love bringing back King Pelennor. For you, Gareth, in your rose or raspberry bushes.
Yeah, the Knight of the Blackberry Bush.
Yeah,
that's what they called him.
And then you showed up. You're like, I'm a changed man, not drinking. And then later in the feast. Sorry.
Drinking.
I love that part where you show up as the guy. But I think that's a couple years later. But Jesus.
No, that's next year. 493. Next year. King of the Bean.
Yep.
I was King of the Bean, but my notes say I didn't beef it. King of the Bean, didn't beef it. Yeah. Do you see the difference in me and Jim's note taking? Mm-hmm. I have a vague idea what that means. I was King of the Bean, but I didn't beef it.
But you didn't beef it. Let me see what I had.
Yeah. Like
no.
So
nothing.
In my notes, I had 2 guards on duty that year, Sir Guardier and Sir Cadlow. Were the ones who ended up helping Merlin get baby Arthur out of the castle. And it's like those 2 dudes are you two, just in a different parallel universe where we're playing Cornwall Knights.
Yep.
Was there a world in which that was us? Right.
Could be
in the Campaigna. Okay.
Like if we'd stayed on garrison duty.
No,
right.
No. Oh, okay. Yeah, possibly. Actually, yeah. If you ended up being there in a different time, but the way things ended up, yeah, you weren't here. It could have been totally possible. In fact, that's actually how the book recommends, is that Merlin tells you all to stop it. And that's actually what the trial's about, is that you being directly there rather than indirectly implicated. You're directly implicated.
Sure. I thought it played out.
I thought mine was way better, to be honest.
I like it.
They're just they're just trying to find somebody. It did reinforce sort of we're little cogs in a great big world, and like you're gonna get stepped on kind of feel of it.
Right. I'm not good at balancing it all the time perfectly, but I mention it now. I'm gonna mention it again in the future. I've definitely mentioned in the past, is that being a knight is sometimes being a little baby and being the little kid underneath authority and having to say, yes, I'm doing it, absolutely. And other times you get to be the dad and kick, and kick shit downhill and be like, don't you fucking talk to me that way, and be terrible. You just pass the abuse on. Like that's kind of what that's what it's like to be in a feudal society when you are somewhat in power. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah,
it absolutely
fucking sucks.
Yeah, and people will even when you're in a position of power over other people, the people in a position of power over you feel as much impunity to consequences and can treat you as they want. As long as but it all relies on relationships. As long as you have no one to run to and complain to that can actually affect their life, you have no power over them. Because their dad can beat up your dad in the feudal hierarchy, and that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Hoe your row and stop complaining.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enjoy your feast days.
I did wish I did a little bit more with priests and stuff in terms of the power in the feudal system, about what priests do, and but no Rugrats.
We still got time.
Yeah. No Rugrats. Yep.
I mean, we still do have time, but it's going to be a different context. Priests are very, very powerful people in this world, and it's something we neglected. And priests are part of your families, right? An heir, a spare, and a prayer, right? Those are the people in everyone's houses. They're someone's cousin, right? Someone's their brother or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like these are all nobles just like you. Some of them chose this life, some of them get forced into it, right? It's just like being a knight. It's just a different role in society. And yeah, they're also like kind of spies. They're kind of counselors, you know. There's another facet of life. They also want your money so much, so badly.
Oh yeah.
Give them your money. 492, we were finishing. That was the trial.
That's trial.
490. Oh, I had 3 parts for 492. Yeah, it was with winter phase for it. At least for part of it.
Yep.
493. What were my notes for 493?
King of the Beasts. That's when we went to Malahut.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a total dry hump. We thought we were going to war, and it turned out that the Saxons just hanging dong off the city walls, being like, haha, got here first.
Yep. And this really when it starts to feel like the end. Yeah, once Merlin and Uther have that falling out, the whole place starts to.
But this was when I got Moriad.
I was gonna say this is when we got our vassals.
Yeah. That was when Gareth was so jealous that Erwin had become a banneret that he enfiefed a 70-year-old dude from a county halfway across the fucking island. I gave up one of my manors just so I could also be a banneret. I think that's the pettiest thing I've ever done. That was not shooting myself in the foot. That was like lining up a shot from across the room into my own foot.
Yeah. That was great.
There's no good reason for me to have done that.
No, it's because you wanted it.
Ain't that the way with Gareth though?
Yeah.
And you disguised it under virtue of helping him too.
I did. Yeah. There might have been some ludonarrative dissonance going on.
Yeah, it's all right.
I don't know. If anything, that feels like even more apt of doing something petty under the disguise of goodness.
Right.
Yeah. But also setting up a family to be loyal to yours for
forever, right?
Yeah,
This kid Aiden, I think his name is that kid is gonna be loyal to Aeswin.
If he wants your house, if he wants the house.
Yeah.
Right? That's the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to keep it.
And to be honest, he played me a little. He did not reveal that he had a sword skill of 0. No, it was 1. It was 1. And no, look, props to him. Gareth is outplayed. I got it.
That's great.
But also, I'm going to find a use for you, asshole.
Oh, yes.
Let's see. And 494. Gareth gets all the bees that year.
Yeah.
He gave the honey to the missionaries.
Oh God, yeah. I was like, I don't remember.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Swarm of bees. He gets all the bees. He failed an honor roll, and then just bees, I guess.
Bees.
I don't know. My notes just say bees.
That's
everything.
All the marriages.
Notes. Yeah, the marriage 2 feasts that year. We're now in a hot streak of me getting less than 50 glory, if any glory at all, from feasts.
Yeah.
There's 3 years where I got nothing from a feast.
God, but that 494 really set us up for 495. Because as you said, it was a bunch of feasts. It was celebrations.
Tourney. There was a big tournament. Yeah.
And it was a feeling of Uther's finally coming round. We're going to bring it to these Saxons. And then 495 rolls around. And I have it in my notes. The fading of Uther.
Yep.
Where we had the Easter feast and he looked like shit.
Like shit. Yeah. His leadership's under question. Sick for 2 years. Madoc's still absent. That's when had that intrigue that automatically passed my 1 intrigue roll to sort of suspect Duke Ulfius, which I was about. I guess that's his plans are thrown in. Is he still
Yep.
alive?
Yes, he is still
Yes.
alive.
He's still alive, right?
He
Yeah,
was
'cause he was
injured.
wounded in the tent.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got to be looking. He's got to be looking at Salisbury. Why wouldn't he? He's next
Absolutely.
door,
Yeah.
and he's got claim to it through that.
Claim to it.
I got thoughts there. We'll wait for
Yeah.
the actual when we start playing for those.
You also are. Will I honor that chess match that you rolled for?
It's up to you. It's up to you.
I don't know. We'll see. Depends on whether or not you receive people in Sarum. We'll see.
I have that I snubbed Mind Dog
Did
Yep.
at that feast.
you
Yep.
called in?
The final
My
favor.
my favorite part there was you calling in a favor to tell him to back down.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was such a cool thing to do.
I mean, I'm glad I did, because it's like, I think using those 3 favors was really fun
I mean, if anything,
in
like,
this moment.
what a better example of feudalism than like calling in debts and favors of people and trying to like strong arm your relatives from stopping from turning things into a shit show.
Are you in love? Do you have some joy in this otherwise joyless world?
Yeah.
Right.
Calling that favor.
Calling
Not
that favor.
anymore.
No thanks. Gonna go over here to my wife though, and just love the shit out of each other.
Yep. God, being rich and having a wife. How are you doing, my dog? Is that
Who is he? He's my grandmother's half brother or something. Yeah, grandmother's illegitimate brother, quote unquote uncle. He's sucks for him. He's got a kid. I don't know what his problem is.
I have a cousin?
But that was because that was to like.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, he's great.
That was sort of Lady Elaine was working some sort of intrigue, if I recall, with that one. And if Mind Dog had gotten his way, that would mean Lady Elaine doesn't get her way, and all Erwin knows is that would be bad news.
That's
I was kind of.
It's a survival instinct to know what Lady Elaine wants.
He knows one thing: do not get on her bad side.
Gareth says enough.
It's definitely an example of what it would be like to be an actual Earl all the time. Just so many fucking. It's like literally being like a high school principal the entire time in your life. Just people like all your bachelor nights having bastards, and you're just like, I stop. Stop running. I need to get you out of here. I don't even want to raid this guy, but I just cannot have these people here for another month. Just get out of my fucking castle. I need a peace and quiet. Go steal some cattle. That's really what it is. It's that some people just need some goddamn peace and quiet.
Oh yes.
Love it.
All right. Are we ready to begin 496 for a little bit here?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's start.
Cool. So, point of order. I updated both your character sheets. Your siege skill should be set to 11. I described that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Another rule that I've set up here is that you're all going to be dealing with what's called the Grudge Clock. And what's going to happen is that there are several factions that all say you owe them money. You can pay each of these factions money, but you probably won't. And every faction you stiff, that's going to go up on a clock. And I'm going to determine after a certain level when that clock hits full, which will be a die roll of of how full it is. They're going to raid you, right? They're going to send somebody over to ruin your day.
Yep.
Right. So the idea here is everyone wants protection money. Because welcome to welcome to the Anarchy, and everyone who's big enough and has enough people is going to be like, "Yep, pay me. Enjoy your libertarian paradise. Give me." Or I run with my 100 knights through your lands.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's right now. For example, I have Siagrius and the Astrologes on the Irish folks. They're kind of in the distance. They're not really like necessarily near you, but obviously they're going to be sending an envoy to be like, hey, at the end of the winter, harvest time, give me my share, right? Aya and the Sussex Saxons will be the other one. Ulfius and the Silchester Knights. Brastius and the Loyal Knights of Logris. But then you also have your own local factions to deal with, right?
Mm.
You have Elad and the knights loyal to Vagon. You have Satirius and the loyal knights for the Chilcester directly. Like they're basically gonna double dip you.
Yep.
You have obviously Sarum with Lady Jenna, and anyone and all the knights that are in Sarum. You have the Castle Devises, which is Sir Huel. You have Duplan, which is Sir Ameg, and you have Ebel, who's Sir Jaren.
Can you
All these folks
bring
are
us to the map that shows the manors and stuff that'll help me?
no.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
All the spots are listed.
Yep.
We mentioned this last time strategically at the end of 495, but there's no castle separating Lev Kamakas and Sarm. There's nothing.
Mhm.
There's a road.
There's a road and there's Allington.
Yep. Everyone else has a castle.
Yeah.
Ebel in the south. Dagon to the west. Devis to the northwest.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Sarm in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So you all are going to be struggling.
I say.
Yeah.
So we are starting today with a Cholderton raid.
Let's do it.
Cholderton is on fire. The ringing of steel on steel. Steel on shield. The cries of men. The cries of war. You're under assault by a knight with no colors.
As in, I don't know who they are, or
yeah, they're not.
They're flying
they don't
under
have
a false heraldry. Yeah.
I mean, right now, unless really kind of otherwise stated, I say this as well. But by default, like people rating you, there's no colors. Like
Sure.
they don't, especially
Why would
today.
you?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. Which also means that they're here to take your shit. They're not here to debate or anything.
No.
Right? So we're gonna do a raid, and let's talk about the raid mechanics. I'm updating the raid mechanics for this game. From
Raid
from
Shadow
last time.
Legends.
Yeah, exactly. This stream is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. You should. No, just kidding. Don't ever do that. All right. So when you do raids, when you're raided, you're gonna be rolling. It's a skill challenge like last time. You're gonna be rolling siege. And you're gonna be rolling plus your defensive value for this for your skill test, and your defensive value is based on what sort of defenses you have at your place, and you have a wall.
So I have ditch and palisade, and then I was constructing a tower.
Yeah. So you don't have the full Mott and Bailey.
Not
right?
yet, no.
You have the Mott. So this gives you +5 your siege.
Okay.
You're rolling at a 16. So you're gonna be rolling a siege, a valorous, and a sword.
Siege, valorous,
based on the successes, I'll tell you the outcome of this. Don't worry. With a raid, the threat is that you're never really gonna lose your manor here. It's just that how costly is it to keep it?
Certainly, yeah. All right, so this is first one. This is siege at +5.
Nice.
That's a pass. Every success earns you a check to the skill.
Nice. Let's see. Valorous.
Yes, and sword.
Sword. Sweet. And then sword.
3 successes. You hold
Nice.
you hold with little or no loss. Your misfortune modifier this year is going to be 2d6 +1, but you're going to take the lowest. So can you roll 2d6 for me?
Yeah.
Everything's
Nice.
coming
So
up,
2.
Erwin.
Nice.
So Cholderton's is going to be 2. Good stuff.
Sweet. Able to, in the aftermath, we able to determine maybe who some of these, where they were from.
I feel like that might be a roll. Because it's hard to tell. They're not bandits, but at this point, your communication with your other knights in this area is kind of not really existent. You all are kind of held up in your own manners. You don't know who's loyal to who.
Sure.
What kind of role do you think this is? How would you determine? Are you just trying to look like? Are you gonna like intimidating
they,
in that
it's
sense to be like,
like if they
"Whoa."
left any of their dead behind, I might look
Yeah.
just to see if we recognize any of them.
Recognize and
Well, right.
heraldry are two skills.
I mean, yeah, but that's for knights, and like the knight gets
Yeah.
away. So these are just like
I
random
assume.
folks. Yeah, maybe you notice a face or something like that. So I
well,
don't
if
know.
they if
Like
the
recognize-
if the left
Peasant- the
behinds
peasant
aren't
skill.
the knights, it's the
Peasant
peasant.
skill.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
roll your peasant skill.
folklore or
Folklore.
peasant
Yeah.
skill.
Peasants,
It's-
whatever
is
the
it
one is.
Peasant skill. I don't know.
My concern or my
No, not your
my
concern.
folklore.
Folklore. Folklore is
Folklore.
the peasant thing. They're British.
Yeah. Okay, so they're not Saxons.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah, they're definitely not Saxons.
Okay.
No, but they're Cymric, right? I'm gonna tell you this in that they're obviously not like Cornwall. You know, they're not like Estragalian. You know, they're either Salisbury or Silchester. Someone close enough
Gotcha.
to raid you.
Yeah. Okay.
Someone close by.
Yeah, right. So other than that, no other additional information. But nothing like obvious.
Gotcha.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice. All right. Weathered that.
Yeah. And then cool. So that's good. I think there's a point in this battle where I think like you're kind of caught by surprise. I think you're maybe like coming back from like around a tour of your field, like on a patrol or something like that, right? And it seems like the attack's happening from kind of inside the fort where like, these guys have got in. And so you're kind of like fighting your way into your own fort. And like there's kind of some time where like Lady Great is like, you know, you hear her like scream as you like fight your way up there, right? And like you dispatch the men, and she's fine. And I want to zoom to this moment here with Lady Great here, who's like super stressed about this stuff, and she kind of like feels upset, and she's like, oh Erwin, and she like goes and like grabs you, right, and like throws her arms around you, and says, this is all my fault. I left the gate open. I said that you would be back soon, and it's my fault. I did this. Oh God. And she's blaming herself, and she's taking this really hard.
You're not used to a condition of war, and it will not do either of us if you blame yourself. Learn and be careful next time. Eddie, I think he's still hyped up on the adrenaline and everything as well.
But you left the king's side to come to me, and I can't shake that. That feels, I don't know. And she's like, doesn't want to say that, like she kind of doesn't like that you did that for her, but it's like she still feels tremendously guilty. Like she's carrying a lot of guilt. Lady Great, your wife carries a lot of guilt, and she thinks that it's her fault that a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
Considering she's lost 4 possible husbands in her life. Oh,
certainly.
Right. And like that's just hard to get over. There's a lot of trauma.
Yeah. There's a lot there. And I think
she's like,
go ahead.
Is it the Lord that's punishing us? Like, do we need to like go to a priest? I don't know. I'm afraid I'm endangering you. I can never be responsible for causing you harm, my love.
I'm not in any danger around you. I'm safest here, in fact. And this is a troubling time. I remember something about my grandfathers and the Saxons and similar, but I do not know what will happen without the Earl, without the king. It is suddenly become very dangerous, but we will survive here. And like I think Erwin is just trying to get a handle on like what can he do in this time, you know, his resources, his rock is so small, you know.
Yeah. You would know that she's just feeling doubt, and that your reassurance is kind of really what she needs to hear right now, and that yeah, it's just everything around is like the world's basically crumbling right around you all, and she can't help but feel that she's part of the reason why, especially that you left that battle for her too, right? And now this happened, and this is sort of like just the straw. Like this is sort of this thing that's been kind of brewing.
I think he'll do everything he can to
And to give you like the level of stakes here is that like she's thinking about leaving to go join a nunnery. Like, you know, she's like, I need to leave. Like this, I'm just bad luck, right? To you.
Yeah. She's about to like. Does she mention that she's about to leave?
No, but
that's just sort of what the
I mean,
what the
she
stakes
does.
are.
She's being, I guess she's being, you know, she's kind of being dramatic, but also being serious about it. Being like, no, you don't understand. I had to leave. Like, this is, I'm ruining everything. I'm ruining you. I'm ruining this world. And, you know, it's my fault. And like that kind of part. And that's when you kind of like stop the door. And that's sort of like where you said the thing. So she's not like planning on leaving, and she can't like, not going to get through you. But like, there's the point where she just needs that sort of confidence given to her.
I see. That helps sort of frame the scene a bit. So
Yeah,
I
totally.
think the way that Erwin would approach this is to step aside from the door, and if you feel that you would be safer elsewhere, then I will not stand in your way, because the entire world means less to me than your safety. But if you would stay, then I will do everything in my power to make sure you're safe. I do not believe at all that you are the cause of any of this. The cause of this are wicked men who have nothing but greed and avarice in their hearts. You haven't caused any of this. And he won't get in her way.
She just, no, she just kind of says like hold me, and like she just kind of goes to you and kind of like melts and just feels exhausted.
Yeah,
right?
I bet.
Yeah,
it's trying times.
All right. Yeah. And speaking of greedy men, Winterborn Gunnet. Winterborn Gunnet's attacked by a party of about a dozen knights and a few hundred men afoot with black banners who ride across your lands. Attacking them at this point is suicide, so you bunker down in your new fort.
Okay.
You're being pillaged.
Yeah.
So previously, I kind of like let pillaging happen and sort of like, yeah, you're being pillaged, roll this thing. But like now pillaging is actually going to be a consequence here. And like keeping your stuff is going to be harder. I want to emphasize that more rather than just, oh, it's kind of a stumbling block. This is kind of like a big thing. So pillage. For pillaging, it doesn't work the same way as raiding. This is going to be a single skill. This is your siege plus your defensive value. The good news for you with your Mott and Bailey is that you get an 8 to your siege skill.
All right. So last time I said don't roll 20, I did. So don't roll 20. Thank God. All right.
There you go. A success. So on a success, you're going to gain a check to your siege skill. Also on a success, you're not going to suffer any permanent property damage, which is about as good as it gets. However, you will still be suffering 1d6 plus 6 fate this year, as well as you're going to be taking personal harm, which I will... Oh, boy.
Oh!
Right in the bones. Right in
my bones! I need those to be inside me.
Jesus.
All right.
Anarchy! And then you also... Anarchy. You will also suffer 3d6 HP damage. This ignores your armor. This is basically the result of like after the battle, right? Of like
Eric,
you come in through the door all beaten up.
Okay, 11. Hold on.
Is that enough?
A major wound?
Is it a major wound or not? That's basically the question.
It's not.
Okay, yeah.
It's not.
Okay. Well, you don't have to worry about it that much, right? You're gonna heal up in a couple months before Easter. But basically, this is the threat. This is Pendragon's way of saying like, I don't know if you suffer a major wound, roll damage.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's
as an abbreviated way.
Yeah.
Which is also why I say
that's a very
armor.
Stafford answer to a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Cool. So your walls and your defensive stuff pays off well for you.
Does.
Normally, for example, I'll share this later, but the property damage, if you would have failed this, you would have suffered property damage and reroll in the property damage table. If you fumbled, it would have been terrible. If you fail, you get 2d6 plus 6 advantage for misfortune. On a fumble, you just get 18 fate, like you rolled d6s. You also take harm. You also take d6 property damage. Like
that's crazy.
Yeah, well, don't
I
fumble
love
it. Yeah, this is the idea
I'll
of
try,
pillage.
Eric.
Yeah. This is where things get bad, and this is what I wanted to emphasize for you.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. However, now for you, in these dangerous times, you and Elaine, have almost grown inseparable as you appraise the political situation together. And I think this is like, what do you do when you come back knowing that you two are kind of like seriously and like have feeling for each other? So let me finish what I'm saying. You two know that whatever happens, you actually have each other's backs, and you gain a love Elaine as passion. From last year when you mentioned that at first things isn't changed. This is actually your event this year.
Nice.
So with that being said, what does it look like when you return after a successful siege to Elaine, your wife? Right? Like, what does it look like? You're like a little bit battle weary.
So the
and knowing the stakes here, and you can roll and roll
the camera starts in our bedroom where Elaine is like reading. Outside you hear like screams and the sounds of battle, and it slowly fades out, and the camera pans around to the door, which bursts open, and Gareth strides in, blood just leaking out like one pant leg, and he wordlessly, like, sword and sheath on the bed, tabard off, coif off, grabs the chessboard, puts it in front of her, starts setting up the pieces. She hasn't looked at Gareth this entire time, and it's only when Gareth sits down and makes the first move that she looks up, and it's just like, well, they're driven off for now. Things are on fire, but soon they won't be.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Yeah. And
yeah.
then she like closes her book and is like, I have some ideas.
Yeah. Speaking of which, and this is the best part, like, but let me hear your plans first. It's like kind of what she says. Like, so like this is the first time in fiction or like in the story we're actually not just out of character, but what does Gareth envision about what's going on?
Yeah, Gareth outlines his observations. At present, to control Salisbury, you need to control Sarum. No single knight can control Sarum against the rest of the knights. By the same logic, no outside force can come in and take Sarum from all the knights. We therefore have a vested interest in making sure that Sarum stays Salisbury. So I think we should reach out to the rest of the knights, make no promises about who shall be Earl next, but come to an agreement of mutual defense against outside forces. We'll slap fight each other all we want, but I'll be damned if Silchester comes in and takes our throne.
Awesome. And then that's where we'll end it today, as tomorrow or next week we pick up where she'll give you the sort of layout of how different knights are feeling based on, she knows these knights a little bit better than you. They're all like Sarum diehard folks. Roderick's tight crew. Well, I guess you would know some of them too, right? Maybe let's continue for a second. So Sir Hewell, let me start with Vagon, because we already know Sir Elad. Sir Elad's the Marshal of Salisbury. He's absolutely never going to settle for a Silchester knight on the throne, especially because the Silchester knights helped with Vertigo. Like, that's the reason why you guys have that suspicious of Silchester as a possible thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're terrible. Like, you guys, it is a trait for a reason. You can't trust them. So he's absolutely not going to do that. He's not going to be convinced ever to side against them. But the mutual defense thing, he could possibly be perceived. He feels like he has the most natural path towards being the next Duke here. However, Elad, is not as important per se as Sir Brastias, who Sir Brastias has basically been outsourcing himself as a mercenary to any king or anyone who calls himself king at this moment, with the most loyal knights from Uther's remnants. Basically, all the lands that kind of Uther had in sort of the middle of Logris are now Sigarius's, essentially. He's basically taking control of them all. And so anyone else who's basically fled and stuff like that has joined with the ragtag banners of Brastias, right? And they're looking for people to basically take that back. So it's unclear if Elad's going to go join with Brastias and kind of do that stuff. kind of have to get your own house in order first. You know.
Yeah.
The Castle de Vise is Sir Huel. Sir Huel is most known for his faith. He has a young daughter right now, and she until she is married, he basically is like super Christian and will never like bow to any sort of like pagan stuff, and he's using this time to kind of consolidate power and push for Christianity in Devise. Duplan is Sir Omeg. You don't really know about Omeg too much other than Omeg is kind of like just a real solid veteran dude. He's probably the most pragmatic of the group. And probably most susceptible to Silchester influence. Then you have Sir Jarin. Sir Jarin is the youngest by far. He is actually the youngest son of another baron who died. Or baron, I guess. Whoever owns a castle. I guess I'm not sure what you would call it.
Castellan?
Yeah, Castellan. Yeah. He's the new heir, or not even heir. He owns it now. He is considered one of the best swordsmen in Roderick's court. People don't really know his loyalties. He's a little bit of like your class. He's kind of like a Madoc clone, you know.
Okay.
Talks a big game, can fight a big game. He's kind of your classic Age of Uther knight variant, you know. He's gonna do whatever he feels like is the best, and he's kind of the most of the wild card.
You can just say fuckboy. It's the knightly fuckboy.
Utherian fuckboy for sure. So those sort of like the gentle terrain that you're dealing.
What manor or castle does that last guy control?
Ebel in the south.
Ebel. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the one near Oddstock. Gotcha.
Here, just quick notes, but I'm gonna change this map up so we can kind of see that. But in general, yeah.
I'll make some heraldry for these guys.
Yeah, I will. So we're getting over time now, but next session I will give you a little bit more tools to like describe what's going on, and like utilize as far as what's going on. Just keep in mind the first thing that I'm going to be asking you on next session is kind of where you're spending Easter, right? Because they're all not going to Sarum, and who you ask, or who you it's the beginning of sort of like who you favoring, and I'm like explicitly list your options for the Grudge Clock, so you know, as these people are going to be coming by your place at some point, asking for your loyalty and your money, mostly your money, and choosing that stuff. Okay, that's sort of where we're going to be going. So enjoy the Game of Thrones / Crusader Kings part of the game. This is absolutely the darkest, most brutal political part of Pendragon.
I'm sure.
Love it.
I don't know what you would call the major theme of the Age of Uther, other than like I like the stuff about the square has to be table before, or the table has to be a square before it can be round. But Anarchy is about ambition, just raw, just libertarian paradise ambition of whatever you can keep, right? You know, it's like whatever you can hold with your sword and protect is yours. And it is as brutal and dark as that suggests, right? But after that, just so I don't know exactly the year, but just so you know, then we get into the Boy King period. You know, some little schmuck pulls a sword from a stone, right, at some point. And just so you know, like that's what comes after this. Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be fun. I know that I will be curious about who is in Newton Tony, because that looks. I don't like the fact that Allington is divided from Cholderton.
Yeah.
That would be sort of his first target of either
allyship or.
Allyship or
what if you just took it?
Nobody.
There's a part of me that's like,
I don't have a knight in Newton Tony, so that's possible. I mean, no one. Obviously, someone lives there.
Someone
Yeah.
lives there.
I will generate them between then and now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I mean
Yeah.
is like without the feudal protections,
Yeah.
why not just take it? I know I have to make friends with Edmundston because I'm the Newton Tony for fucking Sir Frayed. So I'm gonna have to
That's right.
don't look so
yeah.
happy, Jim.
Ooh.
This
At
was
least
your
you have a-
albatross and it's somehow
yeah.
now mine.
It's not right.
Um,
I passed it off.
I
At
want-
least
I
you have a
want-
Mott and Bailey.
Yeah, no, I feel really good about investing in that early.
Yeah, for real.
It started off because I just didn't know where to spend my money, but now I'm like really happy with it.
It's gonna pay dividends. Just so you all know, this year's misfortune roll for your stewardship and stuff is gonna be like impossible.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you right now that you all know it's gonna be a bad year. Your wife's telling you it's gonna be a bad year. You know, like
sure it's
everyone,
gonna suck.
it's gonna be bad. You guys are
Yeah.
all looking at like possible crits from misfortune just by default. You know, like
Yeah.
their skills are already at like 26 and like 32 or something, like for
Yeah, they can't.
respectively.
I don't think.
All right, just
Lady
so you
Grey
know,
can-
this is
Nope.
going to be a good year for you. But this is a good point to bring up, just also so you know. Part of you don't worry about the money part because we're changing that into more. This is going to be your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You can impost your peasants to boost your stuff back up, which just means you just rob your own peasantry
Just
for your
rob
money.
your own peasants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You can do it. It's there.
Hey,
You just get your
Sheriff of
checks for
Nottingham.
cruelty. Yeah. You like that's the point though, right? Like, and that's kind of what I want to go back to is like, well, I mean, you don't have the money and you don't really have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is the part where we get to see the darkest parts of y'all to be like, no, this is real. Like, I actually need your like,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Right as Gareth was becoming not a schmuck.
So, all right. So I just want you
Yeah.
all to know that's
Until
kind of what's
they-
coming down
I feel
the
it.
pipe.
Until
feel
they
it.
hang us from the nearest branch for someone who's a little nicer.
Oh.
That's right. Yeah, the guillotine.
Yeah, but who would that be? Everyone's
Yeah.
terrible,
Everybody's terrible. Yeah.
right? The devil you know is sometimes better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can't be too soft on them.
Yeah.
Then they'll think you're too soft on everybody.
Exactly, right?
And
Well,
all right.
yeah, thanks everybody. And thank
Mhm.
you for all of the bits and support today and everyone subscribing. I appreciate that. That's very
Awesome.
nice. And also just thanks for being here. Truly, and coming and catching it live. I know this was kind of like you might have been expecting, oh cool, what's the Anarchy about? And we just spent most of it just kind of doing a recap episode.
Yeah.
But sorry, we were hoping that maybe future people in the YouTube lands can just jump in and not feel intimidated having to watch 20 odd episodes and
Yep.
spending 40 hours of their life to do it. Although they will probably go back and watch them all after hearing about it because this is so good.
So good.
Awesome. Let's do some outros. Colin, you go first.
Hi, I'm Colin Vulcanet. I am one half of the Phantom Roll Booth. You can find me on Twitter at Colin Like I See. That's the best way to see what I'm up to, other than shit posting on Twitter. Currently, I am set to have my first published D&D adventure come out. It is called A Miner's Requiem. It is going to be released as part of the Uther anthology. I'm in the first little mini zine of 5 adventures, all of them themed around revolution. So stay tuned when that comes out. It'll be all over my Twitter. I don't think I have any other projects cooking right now. So that's me.
Yeah. I am Jim Davis of WebDM. We've got a YouTube channel over on, well, I guess YouTube, and actually have 2 over there, WebDM and WebDM Plays. And I don't know, you guys know the drill. Check us out if you like tabletop RPGs, D&D, that kind of thing. That's all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And of course, there's me. I'm Eric. Catch me everywhere at EricVulgaris. Wednesdays I play Sunfall Cycle. Sundays I play Oath of Endosteel, which is if you like Pendragon, it's Pendragon meets BattleTech, where we're all nobles in the BattleTech universe, in the early Inner Sphere times before the clan invasions. It's so good. It's so good.
Cool.
BattleTech
really
has
cool.
this really dumb timeline, but it also has this great like enough length of time in a similar fashion where you can get all some cool stuff. It is really cool. That's over AP Gaming Reels channel. He does a really good job running it. So I get to play a little rich, snobby jerk running around trying to get his new ancestral mechs for his kids to have. So that's fun. Yeah, so you can catch me on all of those places. Other than that, yeah, we'll be back next Monday. I don't know when I'll do the next preps. I kind of do it when I have the time. I do tweet about it and stream and upload them. So if you see me there on Twitter, that's when I'm gonna do it. Otherwise, you're gonna have to watch on the VOD. I'm sorry, I don't have a good schedule, and that's like the streamer's bane, right? It's not having a good schedule. So, but that's where I'm at right now. So sorry. Other than that, we'll catch you all next week. So thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you around.